All right, everybody. Welcome back to Talk Takers. Today we're going to be diving into Seagate's latest earnings call.
Yeah,
And this one was a pretty interesting one.
it was.
There's a lot going on with Seagate right now.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they're dealing with this massive increase in demand.
Right.
And they're also kind of in this weird in-between period where there's, still selling their traditional hard drives,
Right.
but they're also trying to push forward with this new HAMR technology.
Yeah. The transition is
So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate all of that.
absolutely. So to kick things off, Seagate reported revenue of $2.33 billion for Q2.
Okay.
That's a 7% jump from the previous quarter.
Wow, that's pretty impressive growth.
It is. Their non-GAAP earnings per share landed at $2.03,
Okay.
which actually exceeded expectations.
All right, so they're beating the estimates.
Yeah, they are. But, the numbers themselves only tell part of the story.
Right, right. What's driving these results? What are they saying about the bigger picture?
Well, one word, cloud.
The cloud.
Yeah, cloud service providers are investing heavily in infrastructure right now,
Okay.
driven by, both the traditional services like e-commerce,
Ah.
but also this massive rise of AI applications.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just the usual suspects, it's this AI boom that's also fueling the demand.
Exactly. In fact, Seagate mentioned that their cloud customers increased their capital investments by almost 50% in 2024.
Whoa, 50%. That's
huge.
a lot of money pouring into infrastructure.
It is. It is. It really shows you just how much the demand for storage is exploding.
Okay, so we've got this huge cloud demand.
Yeah.
And then we've got this AMR technology that Seagate keeps talking about.
Right, right.
Can you remind us what exactly AMR is and why it's such a big deal?
Sure. So AMR stands for heat-assisted magnetic recording.
Okay.
And basically, it allows Seagate to pack way more data onto a single hard drive.
Okay.
So think higher capacity drives, which means, data centers can save money.
Uh-huh.
They can reduce their physical footprint.
It can reduce their energy consumption.
Exactly. All the things that, these cloud providers are looking for.
Yeah, makes sense. So is Seagate actually shipping these HMR drives yet? Or is it still kind of in the lab?
No, they're actually shipping them. They announced they've started shipping Therar-based drives to their first cloud customer.
Oh, wow. That's
And they're also sampling drives with a whopping 36 terabytes of storage.
36 terabytes. I mean, I don't even know what I would do with that much storage.
Right. It's mind-boggling how much data they can fit on these drives now.
Okay, so it sounds like HAMR is it's not just hype, it's actually happening.
It's the real deal. It's a game changer for the industry.
All right, so we've got the cloud, we've got HMR.
Yeah.
But Seagate also mentioned a production issue in their call, right?
They did.
What's the deal with that? Should we be worried?
So they did disclose a production issue. That's expected to impact their outlook for the March quarter.
Okay.
But they emphasized that it's temporary
Cool.
and that they've already identified the problem and are working on a solution.
All right, so it sounds like a bump in the road, not a major derailment.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Seagate has a pretty good track record of, overcoming these kinds of challenges.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. They've seen a lot.
Exactly. So I wouldn't hit the panic button just yet.
Okay, that's good to hear. But, with demand so high and now this production issue,
Yeah.
how are they planning to meet all of this demand?
Well, that's where their approach to supply chain management comes in.
Okay.
They're not just trying to, ramp up production across the board. They're taking a very measured and disciplined approach.
So it's about being strategic with the resources.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're focused on meeting their commitments to their, biggest clients,
Right.
especially those cloud giants we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, makes sense. So it's not just about making as many hard drives as possible.
No.
It's about making sure they're getting those hard drives to the right customers
At the right time.
at the right time. Okay, so it's a balancing act.
It is. And it's impressive to see how they're managing it all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But, we can't talk about Seagate without talking about AI.
Right. It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, everyone's talking about AI these days.
For good reason.
And how it's, generating just a massive amount of data.
Yeah. Unbelievable amounts.
What does that mean for a company like Seagate?
Well, think of it this way. AI models are like data-hungry beasts.
Okay.
They need vast amounts of information to train and operate effectively.
Hmm.
And all that data has to live somewhere.
Right, right.
So you can think of Seagate's hard drives as the warehouses of the AI world.
So they're not just riding the wave, they're actually providing the infrastructure for this whole AI boom.
Exactly. And it's not just about storing the initial data for training.
Uh-huh.
These models need constant refinement and improvement,
Yeah.
which means even more data storage over the long term.
Okay, so it's not a one-time thing, it's an ongoing need.
It is, and this is especially important for what's called trustworthy AI.
Trustworthy AI?
Yeah, where you need, detailed records of how models are trained and the decisions they make.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about the data itself, it's about the provenance of that data.
Exactly. You need to be able to track where it came from, how it was used, all of that.
Okay, so it's almost like a chain of custody for data.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, what specific insights did you glean from the earnings call about how Seagate is positioning itself for this AI-driven future?
Well, one of the most interesting takeaways was their emphasis on the role of mass capacity storage in generative AI.
Generative AI.
Yeah, this is the type of AI that creates content,
Oh,
like images, videos, even text.
like those AI image generators that everyone's been playing with.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are pretty wild.
They are, and they require a ton of storage.
Right, because you're not just storing the final image, you're storing all the different versions and iterations.
Imagine saving every draft of a novel.
Right.
Not just the final manuscript.
Yeah, that's a lot of data.
It is. And Seagate highlighted that generative AI is expected to churn out enormous amounts of image and video content.
Oh, wow.
Which is, further fueling the demand for their products.
Okay, so they're basically saying that AI is a huge growth driver for them.
Absolutely. And they're well positioned to capitalize on it.
All right, so we've got the cloud, we've got AI. What about their outlook for the rest of fiscal year 2025? Are they expecting to maintain this momentum?
Well, they're anticipating continued strong demand from their cloud customers,
Okay.
which should help offset any seasonal dips in other markets.
Right. But what about that production issue we talked about earlier? Is that going to throw a wrench in their plans?
So they are projecting lower revenue for the March quarter because of that snag.
Right.
But they still expressed confidence in their ability to meet their build-to-order commitments.
Okay, so it's a temporary setback, but they're still optimistic about the long term.
Yeah, that's the takeaway.
And they're also expecting their gross margins to improve.
Yeah.
Thanks to the shift towards higher capacity drives, including those powered by HAMR.
Exactly.
All right, so even with the hiccup, they're still bullish on their growth and profitability.
Here they are.
But let's get to the fun part.
All right.
Our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
It's speculative.
Based on everything we've learned today, what's a bold, maybe even a little crazy trade idea that someone might consider?
Okay, so full disclosure, this is purely hypothetical.
Of course.
Definitely not financial advice.
We're not financial advisors. This is just for fun.
Just for fun. But what if you shorted
Sort of, though.
a basket of companies that are heavily reliant on older data center technology?
Oh, interesting.
Companies that are still stuck with, lower capacity drives and haven't really made the leap to, the latest and greatest.
So you're betting that as Seagate and other companies push the boundaries of storage capacity,
Yeah.
these companies that are clinging to the old tech are going to get left behind.
Exactly. They'll face higher costs, reduced efficiency, and ultimately they'll become less competitive.
Okay, so it's kind of a bet on the disruption of the data storage industry.
Yeah, you could say that.
All right, that's a spicy one.
It is.
But listeners, please remember, this is purely for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, don't go making any rash investment decisions based on what you hear here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it is fun to think about, these ripple effects of technological shifts and how they might play out in the market.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes following a company like Seagate so fascinating.
Yeah.
They're not just making hard drives, they're playing a key role in shaping the future of computing.
And AI.
And AI. And that future is looking pretty data intensive.
It is.
Which means Seagate's journey is far from over.
For sure.
We'll be keeping a close eye on their progress, and we encourage you to do the same.
Absolutely.
What else did you find interesting in the call?
Well, there's another aspect of this data explosion that I think is worth exploring.
Oh,
It's not just happening in the cloud.
hold on. Are you talking about
Yeah.
are you talking about edge computing?
Yeah, edge computing.
That's been popping up more and more lately.
It has. We've been focusing a lot on the cloud, but Seagate also highlighted how AI is pushing a lot of data processing and storage to the edge.
Okay, for those of us who don't speak tech,
Right.
can you break down what the edge actually means?
Sure. So think of it as kind of the opposite of the cloud.
Okay.
Instead of all the data being stored in these massive, centralized data centers, the edge refers to devices and systems that are closer to where the data is actually generated.
So we're talking about things like smartphones, laptops.
Yep.
Even those smart refrigerators that everyone's getting these days.
Exactly. All of that. And as AI becomes more powerful and frankly more commonplace, it's moving out of the cloud and into those edge devices,
Right.
which means we're going to need more storage capacity at the edge as well.
That makes sense. But how does Seagate fit into all of this? Do they even make drives for those kinds of devices?
They do. And they highlighted a really interesting example in the call. Video analytics. AI is being used to analyze video footage in real time, whether it's for security, traffic management, or even those personalized shopping experiences you see in retail.
Oh, interesting.
And instead of sending all that video data to the cloud to be, crunch, it's happening right there on the device itself.
Okay, so the processing is happening locally.
Exactly. And that requires a ton of local storage.
Got it.
Seagate mentioned that average drive capacities for these video analytics products actually hit a record high in the December quarter.
Wow. So the demand is definitely there.
It is. It speaks volumes about, the amount of data these systems are handling.
Okay, so it's not just that AI needs storage.
Right.
It's that AI is pushing the boundaries of where that storage needs to be.
Exactly. And this trend is only going to accelerate.
Okay.
Think about self-driving cars, smart factories, even, the future of personalized healthcare.
Yeah.
All of these applications are going to generate massive amounts of data at the edge, and they're going to need, robust storage solutions to keep up.
So Seagate is basically covering all their bases.
Yeah.
They're the storage backbone for the cloud and the edge.
That's a good way to put it. They're positioning themselves to be a key player no matter where the data lives.
Right. But there was another point in the call that I found intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
It was about their philosophy when it comes to capacity planning.
Okay.
Capacity plan. You mean how they decide how many drives to make?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that just a matter of, keeping up with demand?
You would think so, but it's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Seagate isn't just, blindly adding capacity. They're actually analyzing demand trends, making calculated decisions about how to scale their operations.
So they're being very strategic about it.
Very strategic. They're focused on efficiency, on maximizing their return on investment.
Okay.
They're also leveraging technological transitions like this move to HAMR to increase capacity without necessarily needing to build, tons of new factories.
They're working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think this disciplined approach is going to serve them well in the long run.
Okay.
It allows them to be more responsive to market changes,
Yeah.
avoid those oversupply situations that can, really kill profitability.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of HAMR,
Yeah.
with all this hype, are they ditching traditional hard drive technology altogether?
No, not at all. They're still producing plenty of those. But they made it very clear that they see HAMR as the future.
Okay, so they're hedging your bets for now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're continuing to refine and improve their existing products while simultaneously laying the foundation for a future where HAMR is, the dominant force.
Are they saying that all hard drives will be HAMR drives one day?
It's certainly heading in that direction.
Okay.
And they make a pretty convincing argument for why that's a good thing. Remember all those benefits we talked about?
Yeah, the higher capacity, the lower costs,
Exactly.
the energy efficiency.
All of that becomes even more crucial as the world continues to generate more and more data.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're betting big on AMR, but they're also being smart about how they manage the transition.
Exactly. They're diversifying their portfolio, investing in R&D, taking a measured approach to capacity.
Okay.
All of those things point to a company that's well positioned for success.
So even with the production hiccup that they mentioned,
Right.
they're still looking strong.
They are. They're facing similar challenges to many other companies in the tech industry right now,
Right.
but they seem to be navigating those challenges effectively.
Okay.
And more importantly, they have a clear vision for the future.
And they're not afraid to take risks and invest in those cutting edge technologies like AMR.
Absolutely. That willingness to innovate is going to be crucial for any company that wants to stay ahead of the curve in this,
Yeah,
rapidly evolving world of data storage.
absolutely. All right, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
The cloud, the edge, AI,
Mm.
HAMR.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a minute and talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What does all of this mean for the average person?
Right.
How does Seagate's success or even potential challenges actually impact our lives?
That's a great question. And it goes to the heart of why we're doing this deep dive in the first place.
Uh-huh.
Seagate's story is really a story about the future of data.
Okay.
We're creating more information than ever before.
Right.
And that trend is only going to accelerate as AI gets smarter
Uh-huh.
and the Internet of Things keeps expanding.
So we're basically drowning in data.
In a way, yes. But all of this data also holds incredible potential.
Okay.
It can be used to tackle some of the world's most pressing problems,
Right.
from climate change to disease.
Uh-huh.
But that can only happen if we can store it, process it, and analyze it effectively.
And that's where Seagate comes in.
Exactly. They're providing the building blocks of this, data-driven future.
Oh.
Their hard drives are the foundation upon which all of this innovation is built.
So even though most of us, never actually see or interact with the Seagate hard drive,
Right.
they're playing a crucial role in shaping our world.
They are. They're the unsung heroes of the digital age.
Okay, but let's be real.
Yeah.
A lot of our listeners are probably more interested in the financial side of things.
Of course.
What does Seagate's performance tell us about the overall health of the tech industry right now?
Well, their strong results are definitely a positive sign.
Okay.
They indicate that demand for data storage and, by extension, computing power
Mm-hmm.
remains robust.
So even with all this talk of a recession, economic uncertainty,
Yeah.
the tech sector is still chugging along.
For now, yes.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that Seagate is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Right, right.
The tech industry is vast and complex. And there are certainly other companies facing headwinds right now.
True, true. But Seagate's focus on cloud computing and AI,
Yeah,
two of the hottest areas in tech,
absolutely.
suggests that they're well positioned for future growth.
I agree. And their commitment to innovation, especially with HAMR, gives them a competitive edge.
Right, right. All right, so we've covered Seagate's financial performance,
Yep.
their technology, their outlook.
Uh-huh.
But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier,
Oh.
the this is not financial advice segment.
Oh, yes. Let's have some fun with that.
You pitched the idea of shorting companies that are lagging behind in data storage technology.
Yeah, right.
The ones clinging to the old ways of doing things.
The dinosaurs of data storage?
But what about the flip side?
Okay.
What's a bold,
Yeah.
bullish trade idea based on everything we've learned about Seagate and the trends they're riding?
Okay, here's a thought. What if you went long
Long.
on a basket of companies that are building the tools and infrastructure for AI development?
Okay.
So these are the companies creating the software, the hardware, the cloud platforms
Uh-huh.
that are fueling the AI revolution.
So you're saying bet on the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush?
Exactly. As AI becomes more sophisticated, more widespread,
Right.
the demand for these tools is only going to increase.
I like it. And it ties back to what we discussed earlier,
Yeah.
the sheer amount of data that AI generates.
Exactly.
That data needs to be stored, processed, analyzed,
It does.
which creates opportunities for companies across that entire AI ecosystem.
Right. It's not just about the companies building the AI models themselves. It's about the entire infrastructure that supports those models.
So from data storage to processing power to software development,
Yeah.
there's a whole world of companies that stand to benefit from the rise of AI.
Absolutely. And Seagate, with their focus on data storage, is right at the center of it all.
Okay, so we've got our bullish trade idea
Yeah.
and our bearish trade idea,
We do.
all purely hypotheticals, of course.
Of course, we're just brainstorming,
Yeah.
exploring the possibilities here.
But it's a good reminder that investing is all about identifying trends, understanding how those trends are going to shape the future.
Absolutely. And Seagate's story gives us a fascinating glimpse into some of the most significant trends in tech right now.
Right.
Cloud computing, AI, and this, ever-growing importance of data.
All right, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question.
Hit us with it.
We talked about how Seagate is helping to build a data-driven future,
Right.
but what does that future actually look like?
Yeah.
How is all of this data going to be used?
All right.
And what are the potential implications, both positive and negative, for society as a whole?
That's a question worth pondering,
Yeah.
and one that we'll definitely continue to explore in future episodes.
Until then. Until then, stay curious.
Keep digging.
That's what we're all about here at Talk Tickers.
Absolutely.
We're trying to, break down these complex topics,
Right.
separate the signal from the noise,
For sure.
and hopefully give you some food for thought along the way.
Food for thought, yeah.
And remember, this is just one earnings call,
Right.
one snapshot in time.
Yeah.
The tech landscape is constantly shifting.
Absolutely.
Seagate's story is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
It is.
That's why it's so important to stay informed,
Stay curious.
keep learning,
Absolutely.
and never stop questioning.
Never stop.
And we'll be here to help you navigate those choppy waters.
We'll be here.
All right, so keep those brains engaged.
Keep them sharp.
Keep those portfolios diversified.
Diversification's key.
And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
See you then.